Hello students, today we will be going over wrap up part 2. This is page 137 in your yellow packet at the bottom. We'll start with number 9, negative 5a minus 8 absolute value equals 37. Now we need to make sure the absolute value is by itself, nothing added or subtracted, multiplied or divided around it before we make our two equations. Because remember, we could have this equal negative 37, and absolute value would make it 37. We could also have this be 37. Absolute value of 37 is 37. So we'll need to make our two equations. One is exactly like this, but without the absolute value bars. So negative 5a minus 8 equals 37. And I'll solve for that. Our second equation, negative 5a minus 8 equals negative 37. And then I solve for each of these. Line down the equal sign, add 8 to both sides. Negative 5a equals 45. Divide by negative 5. And again, this is negative 5 times a, that's why we divide. So a equals negative 9. Okay. Next, right here, down the equal sign, we're going to add 8. Negative 5a equals, let's see, negative 37 plus 8 is negative 29. Divide by negative 5. What's a negative divided by negative? We can just leave it. It's now becoming a positive. 20, whoops, not a 9. 29 over 5. And our instructions do say, solve. If equation, give solution as a set. If an inequality, give solution as graph and interval. So this one will be the set of negative 9 and 29/5, which is 5 4/5, but they don't mind it being improper fraction notation, and there you go. So over here, the absolute value is not by itself yet, so we have to do something to get it by itself. It's divided by 10, so to get it by itself, we do the inverse operation, times by 10 here, times by 10 there. Now I get, these will cancel, k plus 10, absolute value equals 20. Now the absolute value is by itself. This answer is positive, so I can get my two equations. One of them is exactly the same, k plus 10 equals 20. The other one will be, the answer is going to be a negative 20. And I solve for k both ways. Minus 10, minus 10. So k equals 10. Over here, minus 10, minus 10. K equals negative 30. Then I go ahead and put that in set form. Smaller number first in general. And you have your two answers there. Okay. Next, I'm going to go ahead and go on to the next page. You can pause the video and do number 11. And I will go ahead and do number 12. If you need to write number 11 down, here it is right here. We can pause the video and you can write these. 11 is right here for you to work on. Or we can just keep on moving. You'll need to also write down 14, 15, and 16. I will do 12 and 13. Make sure you're writing down all the steps to get full credit for these other problems. So here's number 12. We have to isolate the absolute value. So first I have to get rid of this 4. So it's a positive 4, so I want a minus 4 here, minus 4 there. Don't forget this minus sign, so it's negative 6, absolute value, 2m plus 10 equals 60. Then this is negative 6 times all of this, not a minus, so it's the inverse operation of times, divide by negative 6. So absolute value of 2m plus 10 equals negative 10. Now, when we see something equal to a negative right there, when the absolute value is by itself, we know absolute value can never be negative on this side. We could if it's inside here, but when it comes out of the absolute value bars, it has to be positive. So now that we're at this point, we could say it will never be a negative, and there's your solution. Oh, that was so much easier than I thought. Now let's go on to the next problem. Number 13. Now, when it's an absolute value and it's an inequality, it's less than. So it's going to be an and. Now, if it's an and, we can put it all together. We see that this is positive. This is going to be a positive number here. So we'll get two solutions. I can put negative 46 is less than, I write it without the absolute value bars. Negative 4x minus 10 is less than 46. Next, I'm going to put lines down the inequalities. I'm going to focus on the middle, solving for x here. So I'm going to add 10 to here, add 10, add 10. Negative 46 plus 10, negative 36, absolute value, negative 4x, less than 56. Then I have to divide by a negative. What do you need to remember about dividing by a negative? That's correct. You've got to switch the signs. So this is 9. Going to change this to greater than, x greater than, and 56 divided by negative 4 is negative 14. Now, I'm going to switch this around because I like my lowest number on the left, and that's going to switch these signs again as well. So I say negative 14 is less than x, and it's less than 9. So there's my solution there. Then I also need to put it on the number line and on interval notation. So number line, again, I will go ahead and put my number line. Negative 14. Is it an open or closed dot? Open dot. 9 open dot. Why? Because it's just less than. It's not or equal to. Less ink, less ink. Less ink, less ink. And if it's an and, in general, it's shaded in between. If we wanted to check that, we could say, well, 0 is a solution because this is shaded. If I put 0 in there, actually, I'm going to go back to this one. If I put 0 in there, that's negative 10. Absolute value is 10. Is 10 less than 46? And yes, it is. So we had it right there. Now, interval notation, it does not include negative 14, so it's parentheses. Does not include 9, parentheses. And there's my interval notation. Okay, again, if you need the rest of them, I'll put this up here. And we can pause the video if you need to write down the rest of those problems. And you should be able to get these before the next class period. You can do it, students. You rock.